Enjoying all that Toxic Radio has to offer? Well, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be the first to find out about ticket giveaways, amazing guests, awesome contests, and Toxic Radio events. Just search Toxic Radio Live, all one word, and press that little button. Every time you do, someone here at Toxic Radio will get their wings.
Yay!
Well, not really.
Aww.
But we will get a warm, fuzzy feeling in our tummies. But then again, that just might be the beer. Anyway, like and follow us, and we will see you out there on the interwebs.
Hey, buddy. Rah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is the place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man?
Hey, I'm Carla.
I'm Heidi.
And we're the Butcher Babies. Listen to toxicradio.net.
Don't play it safe, play it toxic.
Hey, this is Mike Busey, and when I'm not touching myself, I'm listening to Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe, play it toxic.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison from the President Steve Show, and you're listening to Toxic Radio. Get infected like you would with a cheap hooker.
What's up, everyone? I'm back. That's right. I know you missed me last week. I was out of the country, had to handle some things on vacation. Mike was able to survive. I brought him back some gifts that we will demonstrate to you, or show, rather, at the end of the show. Let's just say it's a thick one. And that is what we got going on today. Lots to talk about. Lots going on. The weather has been crazy, as you all know, if you're from this area. Philadelphia got hit hard, as a lot of places up and down the East Coast did. Crazy flooding. And when Mike gets situated over there, he's a one-man show today. We're missing Jamie, so we're going to show you some pictures that I'm pretty sure most of you have seen, or some of you have seen, of 676. Well, Mike's quicker. He is the quickest in the West. So that right there is an aerial view of 676 in the city. So if you come over to Ben Franklin Bridge and you go up 676, that is the Vine Street Expressway you see over there, and it's closed. So why is it closed? Because it's a moat now. Now that picture right there is, if you're going down 676 and you got to either go on 76 East to get to the airport or 76 West to get toward King of Prussia, etc. And when you look at that picture, I mean, that says it all. I mean, if you don't know the area, let's just say let's just say a truck, a freight truck, or a box truck. What am I looking for, Mike? What kind of truck is that?
A dump truck.
No, not. Of course, you would say that. A dump truck. I don't know why I can't. I don't know what kind of truck that is. Anyway, a semi, a tractor trailer,
A tractor trailer.
Right,
18-wheeler.
An 18-wheeler can fit under that. Okay.
Yeah, I actually saw a video footage. I'll see if I can find it. It was on my timeline of somebody actually in an inner tube in that water.
By the way, we would never forget this detail on this show.
Okay.
But reports from a lot of firefighters, rescuers, and by the way, those guys, where would people be without them? A lot of people were getting trapped. They didn't heed the advice of staying in. And if you did have to go out, no judgment here, don't drive through the puddle.
No.
But these guys were rescuing people. And the point of me bringing that up is the water itself. They said it's not the type of water you want to be in. So you were in poo water, if you guys look at them. Sewage, all that good stuff. So
yeah.
Ill. That is disgusting.
I mean, but you knew somebody was going to do it.
Well, sure.
I mean,
I mean,
If you knew you were going to get enough followers off it, you might have done it too.
I don't know. Some people might have made an honest mistake, but people don't realize when you see water like that, it could be way deeper than you realize. They just think it's a puddle, and you could die, unfortunately. And I don't think there are that many fatalities. One is more than enough, but the flooding is crazy. Just for historical perspective, they said the Schuylkill hasn't crested this high since 1869, which is 4 years after the end of the Civil War. Right? That's now. Why is it probably hurt the area more now than it did back then? Why would that be? Because back then you didn't have cars, you didn't have concrete, you didn't have these high buildings. You had stuff that was, how do I say? There's a fart cannon behind us. I don't know if anybody can hear that. It's probably a Civic with an exhaust. But there was a lot of shrubbery and natural obstacles to stop some of that flooding, and maybe more tributaries for the rivers to kind of flow out or into. I'm gonna get probably that technical aspect wrong, but that being said, Boathouse Row looked like almost ocean-like. You go down to Manayunk, and it's always known for flooding on Main Street, particularly in the area near the Brew Pub, which is down toward the end of Main Street in Manayunk. However, it flooded to the point where it was still rising this morning, and I kind of unfortunately had to go by it. But there's a picture of 676.
Just to anybody who isn't from the area that's watching, can get a little bit of a perspective of what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, that's insanity. I thought I'd never seen that in my lifetime, and you drive down that, and it makes sense kind of structurally because it's kind of below ground level the way they built that. So, but it's still a lot of water, and that's coming from the Schuylkill, and it does not look like that is not chocolate milk, my friends. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you're not going to have Charlie, what's his name, walking you down, singing a song with the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, I hope everybody's safe out there. Just had to bring it up. It's just kind of mesmerizing to look at. But as I was saying in Manayunk, the water was still rising, and that was like 8:30 a.m. in the morning, they said. They said it might continue to rise till 2:30. And it just... that river can just fill up really quick, especially when you get a record amount of rainfall. So, tornadoes ripping through Mullica, New Jersey, and all kinds of crazy stuff. They got it up in New York, too, North Jersey. Hope they're all safe. And, just kind of catastrophic. I mean, this is all part of, I think, the ass end of Hurricane Ida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if you actually saw some of the footage from New York, their subways, everything was just flooding out. It was just water everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. Some of the apartments in New York are basement apartments, which they're just screwed. It had everybody on the East Coast really fucking hard.
Yeah, it did. It did. But mostly everybody I know is safe, so thankful for that. Even my girlfriend, she lives out in the middle of nowhere, right? And a tree, and she has these really tall trees. I'm talking you might be able to see all the way to Philadelphia from where she lives at. Not really, but on a clear day, you can probably see pretty far. And it fell down and hit her neighbor's house. So, hold on, I got to grab the mic by the shaft.
Just want to make sure you're talking into it, buddy.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere if you're just talking to the side. You got to talk directly into the head.
Yeah. None of this foreplay. Yeah, so went to Canada. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Biden and Afghanistan, won't get into that too much, but I do have some takeaways from that are pretty interesting. That would be pretty quick. I'm just kind of surprised. And we got our mush of the week, our cuck of the week. And the Patriots Stadium was underwater. There was probably floating tapes at that stadium, actually, of games that were taped in the previous 12 years.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, sports fans will know what that means. That's not for you, Mike. But we have some interesting stuff, football teams that are fake. Mississippi softball coach who is getting in trouble for fooling around with her players. That's right. Sexual misconduct. Assistant coach. So, a lot of stuff on the docket. But one thing that I found kind of funny, just to kind of switch it up here, is there's a guy that sued his parents, okay? And they must pay him $45,000 for trashing his electric, VHS porn collection. Took him to court, and he won.
Do you think there's people out there with VHS porn collections that are taking the time and effort to transfer them to digital?
I mean, if you are, I have to say that you're a loser.
Like, is there somebody with such a substantial backlog collection that they just can't part with it, but they understand that we've moved on from VHS, and now they're just sitting there with like a converter to their PC, just going tape after tape to convert it all into a file.
I would imagine that their masturbation hand looks like a piece of chewed up bubble gum run over by a bus. I mean, it's gotta. I mean, Jesus, yeah.
I want to meet and shake the hand of the man that sits there and converts all of his VHS porn to digital.
So check this out: a man whose parents trashed. It says a man here, whose parents trashed his massive porn stash will get $30,000 from them to recoup the loss of his collection, as ordered by a judge last week. U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney in Kalamazoo, Michigan, ordered David Working's parents, Beth and Paul Working, to pay $30,441.54 to their son, more than $14,500 to his attorney and legal fees, according to court records pulled by Motherboard. Wow. Working, a 43-year-old, I want to allege he's probably not working, but his name is spelled Werking. Working, a 43-year-old man living in Indiana, won a lawsuit against his Michigan parents, and that was in December 2020. But the judge delayed making a ruling on the damages until last week. This is why it's relevant now. According to a series of excruciating emails in the lawsuit, Working's parents threw away multiple boxes of pornography and sex toys left behind in their home after they kicked him out. He moved back in with them after a divorce and lived there for 10 months. But they called the police on him after he allegedly caused a disturbance in their home in August 2017. 2 days later, according to the emails from his father, they found him on the streets and took him to Love Inc., a Christian ministry center. That same day, they found his porn collection and started throwing it out. Working repeatedly asked his parents for his porn collection back, the emails show. So I guess he was polite about it. In December, according to police investigators' report, right, Working's parents brought him some of his stuff, and he noticed items missing. They said they destroyed them. Working claimed that the items totaled $10,000, and the emotional attachment to them would be worth around $30,000. Wow. So is that like a dollar per pump? Investigators called his mother. Can you imagine having to be the cops on this one? And she said they had asked him not to bring the porn into the house. Emails between Working and his parents outline years of back and forth about Working's divorce, his inability to find work or an apartment, and their disapproval of vast porn collection. In one email, his father, Paul Working, lists some of the genres he claims to have found in his son's stash, including incest, bestiality, slavery, torture, and rape. Any civilization that tolerates or promotes these acts will not survive. Any individual, as his dad says, that puts this garbage into his mind, whether or not he commits these acts, will also suffer. He wrote in an email to his son in March 2018. So, we have an exclusive here on Taking It Deep, and we found the titles of the ones that were taken. I don't know if so. There was an inventory. He outlined his inventory of thousands DVDs and VHS tapes, including titles like Piss and Fit, Debbie Does Dallas 3, and Big Bad Grannies. So, now how much they were worth? Gang Bang Fury, probably that's from 1992, definitely VHS. That's $7. Sexy Euro Girls, I've seen that one. Just kidding. Platinum X 2004, that's worth $15. Apparently, Sex Tribe is worth $24. Now, I don't know why this is worth $74. But Anal Woman 2 is worth $74.
Because there were so many questions not answered in Anal Woman 1.
Yeah. That's true. So, Black Call Girls, Dreamland 2001, $34. I mean, I don't know why. Let's see. Big Bus Babes, $14. This one's pretty awesome. $44. Hey, My Grandma is a Whore 3.
I mean, at least it's giving props to Grandma.
Yeah, that's true. Chasing the 50s, that's $20. So I guess that's another grandma porn. There was a couple that were about $100 each. Looks Like a Million, that was worth $100. Girls and Guns, $100. So Yeah, this is just a part of it. So, like I said, the valuable ones were Max Hardcore Extreme Schoolgirl, $16, $100. Older Woman Eat Pussy, that's $100. Yeah,
he likes the older ladies.
Yeah. Muff Diver's Delight, that's $100. Fuck My Ass Please, $8, that's $100.
At least they're polite in that one.
Yeah. The Elegant Angel 1992 classic, Snatched to the Future. Mike probably has that one.
I do love me some Marty McFly. Or without his pants on.
Yeah, that's $100. Like, wow. So I guess this is what society's coming to. And I guess if the judge is interpreting the law of theft, that's the reason for his ruling.
I always found it very interesting when I would be perusing some porn online. How often
last night
the stepbrother, regular brother, stepmother, all this porn comes up. All the incest porn comes up in the you might also like parts. It's very interesting, yet I never click on it. It's very disturbing.
You never? Are you sure you never clicked on it?
Never clicked on it.
Yeah, I agree with Gene. His father is wrong about, maybe his dad needs to jerk off a little bit more because he probably still have $45,000 if he did. Share some porn with your son.
Share some porn with your son.
Bond.
Is that would you bond with your son that way?
I don't have a son, so I don't have to answer that.
I said, would you? It was a question of a possibility of another life where you had one. Would you?
It's not possible. But if I did, no, I probably wouldn't. But it sounded like he should have got involved in what his son liked to do.
Now, the first time, this is a true story.
They could have shared lotion, recommendations.
That is true. First time I was ever in a porn store, toys and DVDs and VHS at the time, was with my buddy and his mother.
Why? How did that happen?
We were out. We went somewhere. We were passing by the store, and somehow, some way, I can't remember how it became a thing to stop in the porn store. But his mother looked at him and said, "You want to stop in?" He was like, "Yeah." I'm in the back seat, like, "Well, this is happening," and we all went in. And she picked up a few things. He picked up a few things. And I stood awkwardly in the corner. I thought it was interesting that he picked out a tape and his mom now knows what he likes. His mom bought it. And then what he went home and did with it.
That's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
I would guess whose mom that is, but I don't want to say that name on air again. You know where I'm going with that. Mike pisses in the hot tub. You know he watches incest porn.
It was not. It was not the person. But
okay.
it was very interesting because she picked up some toys. He picked up a movie, and I got nothing. They asked me, "Did you want anything?" And no.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with people, right? In general, and this story makes me think of that, right? Man tosses his penis out of car window during car chase with police. How did he do that, you ask? I'm glad you asked that question. It's a burning question. He opened his door. He was naked, covered in blood, and then shut his door and kept driving, as their police always quote it. A Tennessee man allegedly flung his own severed penis out of his car during a police chase last week and said voices on the radio told him to do it in order to save the world. He must have been taking ivermectin, the horse tranquilizer. You've heard about that, right? People are taking that to fight COVID.
Aren't they taking like the worm?
Yeah, it's like a deworming thing.
Deworming thing, yeah.
It's crazy. So Tyson Gilbert, 39, parked his car partially blocking the highway when police first approached him in Dwelltown. After the cops hit their lights to pull him over, he took off. The chase involved multiple police departments and 2 branches of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So, at some point during the chase, he ditched his own dick out the window of his Honda Accord like a banana on a Mario Kart track. Kind of get
Great
that visual.
description.
Great description. Gilbert opened the door to his vehicle, where the trooper observed Gilbert was bleeding from an alleged self-inflicted wound. Gilbert shut the vehicle's door and sped away, according to the Tennessee Highway Patrol preliminary report. Imagine the cops are like, "Is that a cock? Like, did that? Like, you got to." They're probably like, "Mike, come on over and see this."
Well, it's very reminiscent. What is it very reminiscent of? Let's see.
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, because she cut it off, drove down the road.
But this
and
is
threw it out the
self-inflicted.
window.
That wasn't self-inflicted.
Was he on drugs or drunk?
I don't know, but when I pulled up behind him, the cop says, I turned my lights on and took off and refused to stop. He was all over the road the whole time. Bobby Jansen of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. He turned off an old Liberty Road and came to a stop. He opened his door. He was naked and covered in blood, and he shut his door and kept driving. So, police deployed 2 sets of tire spikes to try to stop him, but he drove through both, kept going, eventually running on just rims. The total chase lasted nearly 30 miles as the police boxed Gilbert in. He asked for medical attention and was taken to a nearby hospital. You don't think, yeah, I cut my dick off.
How fucked up do you have to be to not cut it off fully, but to mutilate your dick?
He's got to be on bath salts or something.
I had a friend who actually got drunk.
It's interesting you have a friend
And
that relates to all these fucked up individuals.
And at a party, decided it was time for him to pierce.
Don't ever tell Mike he can bring whoever he wants to a party when you invite him over.
He decided at this party when he was drunk that it was time for him to give himself a Prince Albert, which is when you stick the actual piercing through the head of your dick, through the hole and out through the side. And while we were all drunk and shit, he laid down in his bed with a towel underneath him. He had ice cubes. He iced up his dick, pushed it through, and then just held a towel on there to help stop the bleeding.
Ew.
So, I mean, cutting it off is a little bit more...
WTF?
Cutting it off is a little bit too, a little bit more extreme, but nevertheless, it's mutilating your penis.
Sounds like a party. Let's mutilate our penis. Yeah. What do you want to do Friday night? Huh? I want to mutilate my penis. Yeah.
The guy's nickname was Horsecock.
Wow. Why would he slap God in the face by hurting it? What the fuck's his problem? How fucked up does he have to be?
Again, I don't know how extreme you got to be to cut it off, but I mean, a piercing here and there ain't gonna hurt you.
A piercing here and there ain't gonna hurt you. Well, I don't want to do any piercing. I mean, I just around there it just seems like it's a risk. So, some other funny stuff that I noticed. They had some woke WOKE teens review classic movies like American Pie and Clueless. And I'm going to read some stuff they said. Are you ready for this, Mike? You ready to be insulted and feel attacked?
I'm going to pull down my pants, bend over, and get ready.
Are you? So, this is their thought on American Pies.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I tried not to look down at the chat room while you're in the middle of talking, but Gene writes, who has a male friend whose nickname is Horsecock? Me. His real name was Rob, but he was known as Horsecock, and he used to walk around just with it out.
It's a legit question, and this is why you gotta, if you invite Mike to a party and you say you could +1, you gotta check who the +1 is.
He used to bang his girl at the end of the night when everybody was trying to sleep, and you would just hear, she was like this short little thing, and the screams that would
Hold on,
come
what
from his
does
room.
this sound something like this?
No, it sounded nothing like that. What the? No, nothing like that.
Okay.
No, it didn't sound anything like that. Her screams were horrifying. Like she was in pain, but afterwards she had a smile.
Does it sound something like this?
Not like that. No, that wasn't the sound.
Do you know what that's the sound of?
You shitting?
No, it's a crocodile.
Oh.
Did it sound something like this?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was putting on a show for you guys. She knew you were down there. They were having an exhibition. You have a friend named Horsecock, and it sounds like he's banging a circus freak. So, no offense if they're listening to the show, but yeah. I mean, come on. Gene's got a real good question right there. Who has a friend named Horsecock? That seems like something that would be in like Porky's 9 or something like that. If you know what Porky's is. Some people are like, what? What the fuck is Porky's? Classic movie. Anyway, tossing penises out windows and American Pie. It doesn't get any more American than that. So, the woke teen reviewed American Pie. This whole movie is completely ridiculous, she says. Especially how the only thing the male characters care about is having sex. Wow. Did she just describe a lot of guys in high school? Was that like revolutionary? Mike, was that like the case cracker?
I feel cracked.
Yeah, and then she continues, they're willing to say and do whatever just to convince the girls to have sex with them.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What's scary is that this girl thinks that this thought is like, Plato talking, like it's deep philosophy. I don't know.
She discovered something new.
I don't know if that was realistic when the film came out, but I think men treat women with a lot more respect and quality now. I think that a premise is still, would you like to have some dick? But maybe sometimes people put a little cloth like a butler, like, excuse me, ma'am, would you like some penis? Shaken or stirred. I mean, I'm a big believer in the Chris Rock theory. I do kind things for people, whether woman or man, but I do believe when you randomly open a door and, it's for a pretty female, you're like, hey, would you like some penis?
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Just
I don't know.
Put it out there. You can
like,
say no.
When
You don't
someone's
have to-
like,
you don't have to say yes.
Yeah, there's a woman at a bar like, oh, man, my kid's away this weekend at visitation with his dad. I just got a new bed. I need some help putting it together at 11:30 p.m. at night.
And then she gets stuck.
And she's yeah. Oh, wow. You just went to the what do they call that kind of porn?
Stuck board.
Stuck porn, where you get stuck under a table. Like, what the fuck's that about?
Well, most
right?
of them get stuck inside of like a washer or dryer.
Or like under a table. Like, what is like? I think people need deep therapy, like stepmom porn, getting stuck and shit, and like stepsister porn. It's all like the most popular and all from Utah.
Well, it's all this whole premise of like she got stuck and you're the only one there and she needs help, but all of a sudden, your horsecock comes out and she forgets she's stuck.
So Taylor is 16, and she continues, the part where Jim and the other male characters film the foreign exchange student in his room is deeply problematic. Might be problematic today, getaway debt 99, but do understand, Taylor, that technology is way different then. It would have took them 5 years to upload that video. So the film doesn't even question the morality of doing this. It makes it seem like a joke, and that the dudes are all legends for getting the plan to work. It's a huge violation of privacy and definitely a sexual offense for Jim to film her, let alone to then share that with his friends. There's no way a teen film made now would allow it. Well, the teen films that are probably made now probably suck giant ass. That's Hannah. She's 17.
I mean, there was one where John Cena actually did a butt chug, so.
Wow. A butt chug? Jesus Christ. So it's what's a butt chug, Mike?
You don't know what a butt chug is? That's where you bend over, and instead of taking the funnel in your mouth, you take it in your ass, and then they pour the beer down the funnel, and you have to open up your asshole to allow the beer to be chugged into your anus.
Oh, I think your friend's on the phone, Horsecock. Oh, you did that too, Horsecock? Cool.
And now, not only does the Godfrey entertain, but he also educates.
So, means get it.
That means you just leveled up.
That's the get a life one. So, pipe down. All right, so Olivia, 18, she says, it's bordering on incel attitudes, the way that the guys in this film think that they deserve sex and how they seem to think that's all women are good for, rather than wanting and loving relationship with somebody they respect. I think if you were a teenage boy watching this, you basically feel entitled to behave however you want it towards women. Okay. Well, I mean, I kind of disagree, but sure. I mean, that's weird, right? Listen, sometimes people need to have a sense of humor.
Yes.
It's a fucking movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. So meanwhile, she's breaking down this. You know what I think she should do?
What's that?
Instead of breaking that down and asking her thoughts on it, maybe she should break down Anal Guzzlers 3 and see if, I think
How did we get to a third? They couldn't wrap it up in part 2?
they needed a Star Wars like lineup. They needed 9 films. There were prequels. Yep.
I was about to ask, are you going to do prequels? Later on, the cartoon version comes out. Then you've got a whole fan base that gets pissed off because the originals are better than the new ones. All of a sudden, you got Jar Jar Dinks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, but he's got to be Dinks. He's got to be
Jar Jar.
close
I got
to
it.
Dicks.
Okay,
Jar Jar
okay.
Dicks.
Okay, I got it.
I was
So
yeah.
yeah, that was good, Mike. Say it again. Tell it again. Tell it again. So that's okay though. I needed to play this when you did that. That's like a that was horrible. So, next, moving on as we go on, there was an interesting story this week about, and these are definitely mushes of the week, Bishop Sycamore. The high school apparently scammed ESPN into airing a football game. Did you hear about this one, Mike?
No, I did not.
Why is Bishop Sycamore a big story? I'm glad you asked that question, Mike.
I was very curious.
I know it was on the tip of your tongue because
it was on the tip of something.
Yeah, you're about to tip. Don't worry, Mike will be eating a chubber later. So,
no, I don't.
Yep. No, you have to.
What?
Yeah.
I don't.
They said it's the hottest chubber on earth. So,
Okay.
Bishop Sycamore entered the public's consciousness during its 58-0 blowout loss to IMG Academy, who's a powerhouse school in high school. During the contest, ESPN's announcer said Bishop Sycamore told the network that the team had multiple top recruits. ESPN could not verify that, leading the announcers to imply the network was duped. So, why did they not check that before they agreed to bring the crew and film it? But okay. That information should be easy to verify, right? Hypothetically, yes. There are websites like Rivals.com dedicated to high school athletes and college recruiting. Bishop Sycamore really had a number of Division I prospects on their team. Those players should have been appeared when you entered the school's name into those websites. If you search maxpreps.com, you get a pretty ordinary page featuring the team's record and no official roster. So they said that's odd, right? And it currently takes you to a bare page with a nondescript picture of a football player and the message, it seems we can't find what you're looking for. So, all kinds of stuff. Some of these guys were older, and they basically tore knees, I heard, all kinds of stuff. And it's just crazy. So basically, when you read this story, it's a total scam. But how did they get past ESPN? Right? ESPN really got duped. They did, but they aren't the only ones. ESPN put the blame on Paragon Marketing Group, an organization responsible for securing the matchup, in a statement to Yahoo Sports. We regret this happened and have discussed with Paragon, which secured the matchup and handles the majority of our high school event scheduling. They have assured us that they will take steps to prevent this kind of situation from happening moving forward. So Bishop Sycamore fired their head coach. Johnson was reportedly fired by Peterson, who, aside from founding Bishop Sycamore, coaches offense and defensive line for the football team, informed USA Today Sports of the change and insisted Bishop Sycamore is not a scam. So if it is a scam, the kid, as he said, quote, are not going to school and not doing what they're supposed to, then I'm literally scamming myself. Okay. That sounds like double talk, doesn't it?
Very much so.
Why would it be a scam? I'd be scamming myself. He must have went to Trump University. Jesus. It's there's so much to this story. I suggest it's a read. Even if you're not a sports fan, it's just like you're like, wow, like how did this happen? And these guys were in all kinds of stuff. So Johnson, and he's kind of sad and gross. It says, faces an active warrant in Ohio for failure to appear in a domestic violence case that eventually dropped to a criminal mischief charge, according to Fox News. The warrant, July 2nd, remains active. Yeah. In addition to that, Johnson will go to trial for default on a $100,000 loan from First Merchants Bank. Johnson used the loan to appropriate Christians of Faith Academy. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's just like, when you read this, you're like, what is wrong with these people? So the roster was fake. It was not listed as a charter school for the 2021 by the Ohio Department of Education, but they still got past ESPN. What are they doing there? You think some people are getting fired at ESPN for that one?
Of course, people are getting fired, but also kudos to these motherfuckers that can pull a fast one off when it's not even that fast. It takes a lot of time and energy.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like some Howard Stern level type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like where he would get people, like he would get past the screeners on.
Oh yeah, it was always when it was like a hardcore snowstorm or something. They'd be like, "We've got the head of New Jersey Department of Transportation on the line. We're gonna go to him right now." And all of a sudden, he would start talking about like dildos that fell out of a giant 18-wheeler. And start talking about them sliding all over the road, and at the end he would go baba booey, Howard Stern's penis.
Mm. Yeah, former players have come and revealed stuff. most of the players on the team were 19 or 20 years old. He said, "This is after being so. I mean, so 19 or 20 years old. So you're cheating high school athletes and you're bringing in ringers. I mean, come on, man, that's kind of low. I don't deal for that kind of stuff. I don't dig it. I mean, how you don't have anything going, like for your life to do that. Like, what's the end game? What are you gonna get out of it, right? So stupid, very, very stupid. So speaking of stupid, I'm gonna call people maybe stupid or short-sighted on this next one because they might not like this. I'm gonna take a little turn in the subject change here. We'll talk about Canada soon. Biden and Afghanistan. Have you been paying attention to that, Mike?
Not really. I mean, I know some shit went down. I know some things were screwed up. I know things weren't done the way some people would have liked them. I know that people were holding on to airplanes. That's about it.
Well, reportedly, people were saying that, but they said that they disabled the airplanes before they left, and they don't have the ability to fly them, being the Taliban, which is probably true because they don't have an air force. So my thing is this. Should we have left? Should we not have left? I think most people would agree that the troops should be home after 20 years in Afghanistan. I think most people would agree that they wish it would have gone smoother. But do keep in mind that you have not one, not two, but 3 presidents that presided over Afghanistan that weren't able to end the war. Remember, I don't know how old some of you people were in 2011 when 9/11 happened. I remember people cheering when the bombing started in Afghanistan and going after the Taliban. I think it was a Phillies game or an Eagles game. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember cheering during a game. And rightfully so. I believe it was the Eagles game. Now, the thing that really makes me think is there was no extra strategy to leaving this place. The U.S. is supposed to be the mightiest military in the world, and I believe that's still to be true. So did you really need 20 years to go after an enemy? I say no. So what I think people are losing sight of here is it was never going to be perfect no matter who the president was. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, as most of you know, but I did support his idea in bringing the troops out of Afghanistan when he was in, but he could not make that happen for whatever reason that may be. Biden made it happen. I think it was a ballsy move, and a lot of people are saying like, oh, what about women's rights? What about this? And yes, that is sad, and things like that should be considered. But I'll say to you, what about women's rights? What about this when it comes to Saudi Arabia? And Saudi Arabia, you know, all the people that were on the airplane, that they were Saudi Arabian. So, at 9/11, just keep that in mind. So, but they buy weapons from us, and they do all these heinous things that we say we're against, and we should be staying in Afghanistan for. So, you know, the reason why I feel strongly about it is the people who pay the price, the actual price, the people that sacrifice their lives, the people that give service and put their lives on the line, the troops, the service dogs, the people that are interpreters from Afghanistan, etc., they're expendable in the eyes of defense contractors and people that make money off of war, exploit it, and milk the cow for 20 fucking years. So whether it was Donald Trump, whether it was Joe Biden, whether it was Obama, who also said he would leave Afghanistan, or Bush, whoever did it, no one was going to be happy with them. The people that wanted to stay there were there. They wanted to be there to make money. It was their cash cow. Do you need evidence? Well, your evidence is the government they had in there that was supposed to negotiate with the Taliban that refused to. The president that was there fled with $150 million. That government was as thin as toilet paper. Now, they didn't want to negotiate with the Taliban because he would have to be removed as president to do that. Now, I'm not singing their praises. What I'm saying is that's not how a peace treaty works. So therefore, this is why it came to a head. They gave him some time to do it, and that government collapsed. So with that being said, you know, that wasn't supposed to happen. I don't think Joe's perfect. I don't think he's not my favorite president of all time. But I will tell you that that is a job, and that is a tough decision that is going to get criticized wildly. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I want people to pay attention and notice that when it comes to certain things, and this is one of the few things, that no matter the president, Trump, Biden, Republican, Democrat, will get sharply criticized and eviscerated on almost every news channel when they do something that is anti-war. Why is that? Because the people, the defense contractors, the Raytheons of the world, the Lockheed Martins, their hands are in the pockets of almost all politicians. And also the TV networks. It's a lot of fucking money. I mean, Trump said it himself. You know, they asked him, like, well, how come you're not condemning Saudi Arabia for killing the journalists? Well, he said, well, they buy a lot of weapons. Do you want to buy them from the Russians? I mean, he's probably not supposed to say that, but it's one of the most truthful things he ever said. So Biden didn't do it perfect. But you're going to tell me that there weren't bad faith actors that were part of this process that were trying to resist it? Like, Mike, have you ever had to fire someone or dismantle a department that people didn't want to, or get them to do something? Don't you get people that resist? And
you're always going to have resistance.
And they drag and they try to make it fail and they don't want it to work and they're not on the team.
Because people don't like change.
Right. So they didn't want change. What's the evidence I have for that? 20 fucking years is the evidence I have for that. You could have been born and still be young enough to fight. You could have been born after the start of the war and still be young enough to fucking fight in that war. That's crazy. 2 decades?
Right.
There's nothing that anybody could justify that. You know, you want to say women's rights? Yeah, I feel for the women in Afghanistan. I understand that, and it's a shame. But what about, you know, this whole America First bullshit? Like, I'd be great. Let's put America first. But let's fucking do it. Talk is cheap instead of just saying it, because that's what happens. And all these people that benefit from it went kicking and screaming, yelling, oh, he should have did this, he should have did that. You know, I think Biden did it because I don't think he's going to run again. I think he's going to retire after this term, and he said, fuck it, I'm pulling the Band-Aid off. That's what I think. That's my layman's guess on it. You know, I think, you know, the troops that lost their lives, it's a shame. You know, the Taliban is going to, you know, go after ISIS, and the reason is because the Taliban's doing things differently because they want to be recognized as a sovereign government. They want to be able to trade. They want to be able to join the UN, and that's why they're making deals with them to get people out. Not perfect, but don't be gaslit by people that are saying, like, oh, Biden messed up this and that. It doesn't matter who. It could have been Krusty the Clown that was president. They would have been criticizing him. It could have been anyone. There is no way it wasn't going to be messy. It just, I don't see how. You know, what? And I ask people when they're mad about it, like, how would you have done it differently? Yeah, there should have been less red tape. But outside of that, what are you going to do? So Mike's falling asleep over there. So he's like, oh, fuck.
I'm letting you do your thing, man. This is all you, man.
No. I
don't pay attention as closely as you do.
No, you're a layman. You don't pay attention close to. But I mean, as much as I could say about you're not paying attention, I mean, it seems like you feel like we should be gone. We shouldn't be there anymore.
Well, I mean, I totally agree. If we sit down and we're having a conversation about this, and you present me with the logic behind it, I absolutely 100% agree that 20 years of holding somebody's hand and going, no, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. This is the. It's long overdue. You can't be over there for 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. If you are, then then you need to call it America. Like, you know, just like how we took over Alaska, like how we took over
we bought Alaska.
But you know what I mean. Yeah. How we made that ours. When I say things, I mean like when we made that, when we declared, all right, this is now part of the U.S. This is Puerto Rico is now part of the U.S. Well, then, you know, if we're going to stay over there for that long, then you need to just put the American flag down and say, this is now a part of the U.S.
Well, and here's the thing.
This is how we're going to do it.
They were made to fail. It wasn't set up for success. That's the point. It was not set up for success. So moving on from that, you know, that is our nomination for Cuck of the Week. Everybody's saying that he was a failure, and I think the troops needed to come home. And if you're calling it down the line, and you're not just calling it, you know, I hear all the Trumpers going like, oh, he did a horrible job. They wouldn't be saying that if Trump was in there and he did the same thing, and he would have did just as bad a job. Not because of malfeasance on Trump's part, because the bad actors around him and that are around Joe Biden, frankly, would make it look bad on purpose. Because what did Trump do? He goes, he came out and said we have to reinvade Afghanistan. Okay, sure, great plan, dude. So, some people don't stand for nothing and just want to talk. But with that being said, what can you do? You know, I went to Canada, by the way. Very interesting. You know, went under some heavy circumstances. My girlfriend's mother passed away. I was supposed to meet her for the first time, and she passed before we could get up there, unfortunately. So she's been having a tough week. But, you know, I did observe how people were in the hospital and how people were toward each other. And what was the temperature? Are there people that are upset that are Canadian, or are Americans uniquely upset all the time? Concerning COVID and things that are going on this day and age, right? And the masks were being worn up there. You need to have a test to get through the border that's less than 72 hours old. As an American, I have my passport. I'm vaccinated. My girlfriend got vaccinated. Thank goodness. She's Canadian. She would have got through the border, but it's been a lot harder for her. And her mom was literally trying to say bye to her mother, tragically. But no one was bitching at each other about wearing a mask. I didn't hear about school board meetings where people were giving you Nazi salutes, saying you're a Nazi, you're a fascist. I didn't see any of that going on. And here in America, we got a fucking problem because people are just riled up about nothing. I mean, when you really boil down the mask issue, is it really that big a deal? Mike, is it that big a deal?
No, but
were you going to make it your day's focus?
And I mean, we've broken it down. First off, sorry to hear about your girlfriend's mother. It is very sad. Also, on top of that, with the mask thing, it's no different than no shoes, no shirt, no shoes, no shirt, no service, or something to that degree. We have a certain level of appropriate attire to enter certain establishments that you have to wear, or sometimes not wear. There are some bars that you go into that you're not allowed to wear a baseball cap, and it's you have to take that off. Whether it's taking it off or putting it on, people.
I think you touched on something right there. I think how we got to handle the mask mandate is we put big ass fucking bouncers at the door like a club.
Yeah,
and say you're not gonna. Oh, you got a problem? Maybe we need to put armed guards at the door. Right?
So they started doing that like at places like Walmart. I had seen them where for all intents and purposes, it looked like the rent-a-cop, so people might not have taken them as seriously. But no, you put like a bouncer, like a guy dressed in a black shirt, black jeans, and a bigger, brawly guy, and explain to people, like, he's not there to actually fight anybody, but a little intimidation in terms of these are the rules of the establishment you are entering. This is what you must do to go in there. And, I talked about it on Supreme Show, The Funky Contradiction, which that clip you can there's a little section of that clip that's now on my TikTok that people could go check out.
I created a TikTok as well. It's called the Godfrey.
Toxic Spunk on TikTok. A lot of people are starting to follow me. Jump on the bandwagon. Follow me on TikTok. There's some great content.
You're going to get some anti-maskers just following you.
And there's going to be more to come. Just stay tuned.
CUM.
But we talk about it.
And all.
We talk about it, and it's not that big of a deal when it all comes down to it. It's not.
See, I think
everybody thinks that they're taking a stand. Everybody thinks that they're
not
the one.
And that's the thing. I think it's not the mask; it's something else.
Yeah.
And the mask, pun intended, is masking the real issue, and you're taking it out in that channel. That's what I really think it is. Because at the end of the day, you got to get along, and that's what we have this problem in this country. And both parties do it. One party more than the other right now. It changes the percentages who does what. That's even when it's the subject. But, I blame politicians right now, stoking people's madness and saying, oh, it's our right. It's our right. I would respect that if you were consistent with the belief. Meaning, if you say, I don't believe in mandates like that and it's across the board, okay. But when you do it yourself and then say you can't do it, you're full of shit.
Well, here's one of the biggest contradictions of the whole entire thing. And I actually just saw this video today of a gentleman at an airport who was being actually kicked out of the airport because he wouldn't put on his mask. And he seemed like he had had a few cocktails, I'll say that much. But he started screaming.
Was that the guy throwing the shit around? And like, was he on the plane or was he boarding?
No, he was looking to board. And I think it was at the airport. I might be wrong, but he started screaming out, "My body, my choice." And I thought it's kind of funny that that's become the war cry of some of these guys and gals, whereas they're doing it for a reason that is political. Whereas if you go to the abortion topic, my body, my choice doesn't take precedence in their mind. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing. I don't want to go down the abortion rabbit hole here, but I mean, it's definitely something where it's completely hypocritical. And the thing is this, and I'm glad you brought up the my choice thing. I feel like it's my personal choice is the new it's my opinion. I feel like when you say it's my personal choice, you're full of shit. You don't want to speak to the truth of why you feel that way, and you can't defend it. It's paper thin. And you know you're wrong, and so therefore you don't want to speak to it strongly because you can't defend it properly because you know you're wrong. And to me, the thing that bothers me, and I was getting on this about Carson Wentz, who, some people know who that is. He's an Eagles player. He's going into COVID protocols because he can't. He came in contact with someone that had it, and that's part of the NFL rules. And I, took some heat for this, but I'm standing my ground. I think he's a selfish person. And, I was a huge Carson Wentz defender. I have a bobblehead that I can't wait to throw away that's in my house. And till the end, I was a pretty big Carson Wentz defender. And then I started getting off the bandwagon. People said he was selfish. And, I remember, sometimes you can meet selfish people, and people always think selfish people are bombastic and they announce that they're selfish, right? But there are selfish people that are very calm and collected, and their actions in themselves are selfish. So why do I think he's selfish? Because he doesn't want to take the vaccine. Now, that's okay, right? Fine. If you don't want it, and that's your personal choice, I'm okay with that, actually. But what I'm not okay with is if you're going to say, I don't want the vaccine, I think you should be social distancing. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And wearing a mask like everybody else, even if they did have the vaccine, right? But that's the problem here is people want to just have it their way and cry about it like big-ass babies. Well, the reason why I think he's selfish in sports terms, it could jeopardize his team because it's a team sport. There's no, if you're in a locker room and, you can't play this week because you didn't get the vaccine and the COVID protocols are tougher on people who aren't vaccinated than are in the NFL as far as how long you have to stay away from the team, then it's selfish because the locker room is going to be like, wow, we don't have our best quarterback, the highest paid player on the team because why? Because you didn't want to? Because we're not going to be there because he made a personal choice. I'm glad your personal choice was a team choice, asshole. And I feel like people are doing that all over. Do you not? Listen, if you don't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. But if it's a personal choice, your personal choice can't affect others. And that's where I have a problem. Because the popcorn guy, the concession stand people, the front office people, the trainer, the janitor, the groundskeepers, they all have to get the fucking vaccine. The coaches, some of the players don't. And I think some of these players are overpriced babies that are used to getting their ass kicked since 6th grade when someone saw that they could throw a football 50-plus yards. I really do think that. Where are you getting your knowledge from? And if you say, I don't want to take it because I'm in good shape, fine. But then you have to take the steps to not expose people. I'll give you a for instance here. Bruce Arians is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. And he asked his team to get vaccinated. All of his players. Why? He's high risk. Why is he high risk? Because he's a cancer survivor. He brought in a chemist. Right? And the chemist, I believe it was a chemist. That might not be his position, but he worked on the vaccines. And he brought him in to talk to the team. Because he wanted to make a scientific case for it. And I do think that's what should be done. I don't think people should be forced into it. But guess what? This is the problem I have. When people don't want to do it and you don't want to deal with the consequences that society's putting forth, you're a big baby. I really think you are. It's not a political thing. It's not a, it's not a thing about political principles. It's a risk assessment, risk versus reward. And Mike, am I wrong here? Do you feel like people are making this decision based off political principles rather than a smart risk versus reward decision?
I mean, have you seen the rallies?
Yeah.
Have you seen the news? I mean, we know why they're doing it. We know
and
what amped them up. We know what lit their
but
fuse.
Even Trump himself said you got to get the vaccine recently at one of his rallies, and he got booed.
Because it doesn't matter. He started the fire. The fire is now engulfing the building. and now he's coming over with a little water pistol to try and put out some of the flames to try and save a little bit.
I'm no fan of
but
Von
the
Trump,
fire's
but
already out of control.
I'm no fan of him, but I do have to say this about him. I don't know, man. I think the people that are posting this fake shit online and are profiting off of it, I think they're more guilty than he is. So I don't know, man. I'm really interested though, and I hope he's doing okay. You heard Joe Rogan got
I heard, I got Rogan got the COVID-19, and
the
also
press is all over his ass
because
right now.
he is basically he's admitted he is throwing everything in the kitchen sink against it.
Now
whereas his whole stance on this was, as long as you're healthy, as long as you take care of yourself, as long as you do all this stuff, you should have nothing to worry about. And if anybody knows Joe Rogan, he touts that he is as healthy as he could possibly be. So it's very interesting that he's throwing everything he possibly can at it.
Yeah. So ivermectin, I think it's called. It's not supposed to be used for that, and some people say it should be, it shouldn't. I'm not sure. I'm going to default to my doctor, and I hope Joe Rogan's okay. I'm not one of these people that are like, "Ha, you died from it." Like, I'm not like that, or "Ha, you deserve it." Some people are like that. I'm not that way. I don't want to see anybody get hurt from this, but is it right? I mean, should you be taking ivermectin? You know what I mean? And maybe there's a study that there's out there. I see a one where there's 100 participants. I mean, it's a deworming medicine, isn't it?
Is that the one? I forget which one is which, but probably.
Yeah. So it's the readily available anti-parasitic drug has proven effective against COVID-19 in vitro. But this is a clickbait website, of course. You put that in, that's the first thing that fucking shows up, because it's an anti-parasite drug not to be used for COVID-19. So I will say, and part of the reason I brought up the Afghanistan is people don't pay attention to when there is a real ruse going on. And I'll tell you where the money grab is right now, and you guys are asleep at the wheel. And why we never get shit done for us is because we're busy fighting over trivial shit like masks. That's what made me upset. I don't see people fighting over masks in another country that's just north of us. Here, we fight over masks, and we get upset about it, and we take a stance about shit that's so trivial and fucking stupid. And it just makes me mad. So the money grab right now is the booster shot. Why do I say that? Well, there's a couple FDA officials that resigned over it, reportedly. I'm not going to get into the details of that. You can Google it if you want. And people say that the booster shot really shouldn't be you shouldn't have to take it in any sooner than 6 to 8 months from your original shot. And they're trying to push it now. Pfizer is. And so this is where people get it confused, and they get too simplistic about it. The vaccine is used for a positive purpose. The people deploying the vaccine and making the money off of it, they're ghouls and goblins. That's the truth. And now they're trying to make money off of a booster run. Because is a booster necessary? I'm not sure yet. The data hasn't supported it yet. But they're trying to get a booster done earlier than it needs to be. The studies say, the efficacy or the effectiveness of the vaccine starts to wane off after 6 months, not entirely. So if that's the case, why do you need to get it if it's 4 months or 5 or 6 months in? I mean, and this is where people get confused. The vaccine's real. It does give you a benefit of you won't get horribly sick. And that's what the numbers show. If you have been vaccinated and you still get it, because there are such things as breakthrough cases. But if you don't have it and you get the Delta variant, it could be much more severe for you, and it's going after younger people. But where people get confused, when they need to see the things that are dishonest and go after them, they'll go after a mask. They'll go after, oh, it's Bill Gates trying to put a chip up my ass. I've heard someone say that to me recently. Some people still believe a microchip can be that small. Can you believe that, Mike? Small as a vaccine needle.
Maybe.
I mean, they think a microchip can be smaller than a piece of glitter.
I mean, with right now they have pills that you can take with cameras in them that go through your body and you pass it.
But that can't go through a vaccine needle.
I'm just saying there are individuals out there, including myself. I'm not saying that I subscribe to this thought process. I'm saying that when you see the technology that they present to you right now, the technology that they have behind doors that they're working on is usually far surpassed and beyond the technology that they present to you in the here and now. I'm just talking about technology and what they give to the public and what they have behind closed doors. Because, I mean, even with the Army and the military, the technology that we have now in our video games and 3D processing and physics and everything is stuff that is always started with the military years before it ever gets to our front door.
So here's the thing about that. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. And that could be true, right? But I still think people they're not able to separate the sizzle from reality. That's the way I'm going to put it. And there are unethical and wrong things that pharmaceutical companies do. But you charge the wrong hill. That's what's wrong. You're charging the hill. You're showing up to school board meetings. Most of these people are volunteers. You yell at people and say that they're fascists because they want to protect kids. Think of the kind of job you have as a superintendent or a school principal, and you're responsible for hundreds of kids. There's not going to be a Burger King approach. Your kid's not that fucking special. People need to hear that. Your kid is not that special. He's special to you, but your kid's not that special where he's going to get an individualistic approach. So they have to do something that's good for the whole population of the school, right? So people need to get over themselves. They think this is what we're made to believe in America. Your stance is so important. Your liberty is so important. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it is, but it's not as important as you think it is. People really don't give a fuck about your feelings. That's reality. So I just want to see us all act like normal human beings. But anyway, folks, that's it. I'm giving you a heart out tonight. I'm going to end things. We're going to move on. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in. You know where to find us. Spotify, Google Podcast, iTunes, Amazon Music. Take It Deep with The Godfrey. Google it, find us, subscribe. Sharing is caring. Taking It Deep with The Godfrey, the Facebook page. If you want to catch me on social media, TheGodfrey. And that's The Godfrey, not saying goodbye, just saying take it deep.